Hey, everybody, it is Mike, and I am joined by John Mangini. John, how are you today?
I'm great, Mike.
So, in the past couple of weeks, I've covered the PSA, I'm going to say scandal in quotes here if you're watching video. There are some pretty serious allegations about PSA, and I was thinking every week I have to think, who do I want to have on my podcast this week? Was there big news? Was there something to talk about? And I feel like I'm kind of a I don't know how to describe the way some people think I don't go after PSA hard enough. And I thought, who can be the opposite of me? Who would be passionate about this PSA thing? John Mangini has to be it. Because, John, you, for years, I've watched your videos and you have said PSA, I'm not going to, I think it feels like you say PSA is a scam. Keep your cards raw, things like that. Tell me your take.
Oh God, how long is this podcast? I'm not a fan. I am of the opinion grading is a bit of a scam, and not a scam like the emails we get from India trying to hack our bank accounts, but just in the general sense of the word, I find it to be a cult and a bit of a scam. Um, PSA has become like the IRS. It's essentially a cult, and then they get a piece of everything the sellers get. And they no longer even hide that fact. Their executives go out and say, well, if you can sell this card for this much money, then we should get a piece of it. It's just like the IRS, man.
And do you think that if we go back to last week's thing, the PSA gave nines to somebody, and then after he received offers and sold them, they then upgraded them to tens. Do you think that was intentional on PSA's part? That there's some scheme that they do to get some extra money and buy them at 9 and then regrade them to 10 and then sell them themselves?
I don't think so. I certainly hope not.
Right.
I think I just say it all the time. No one can tell the difference between a 9 and a 10,
Yes.
including them.
Right.
And that's why you could send in, and get different grades all the time, because no one can tell the difference between a 9 and a 10. A card is mint. There's nothing higher than a mint. You can make up gem mint. You can have an 11. You can have a 12. A mint card is a mint card. And for it to be more than mint, that's subjective. Now, I can buy that a gem mint is a mint card that's perfectly centered. And a 9, may not be perfectly centered. It's packed fresh, perfect card, but maybe, has some little tiny dot on it or fisheye, or it's not perfectly centered. And a gem mint is like totally clear registration and perfectly centered. But as we see with the cards we find, that's not always the case with tens. And so how do you get a more than 50% of your cards with the guy that sent the 99 in?
Mm-hmm.
How are more than 50% upgraded from 9s to 10s?
Yeah.
And doesn't that make you a complete chooch for paying 100 times more for a 10 when nobody can tell the difference? That's why I say it's a cult. It's you're buying a number. That's what you're buying. And people will say, well, we're just buying, we're just paying for opinions. No, you're not. Because when you're paying that much for a 10, you're not paying for their opinion. You're paying for the 10, baby. That's what you're paying for. You're not paying for an opinion.
Yeah.
Because that opinion could be wrong. How about the Wemby card that got all that attention, the 101 Wemby card that was totally off center, and they gave it a 10. And every collector out there was saying that's not a 10.
They're paying for that opinion, but they get mad at the opinion if it comes back an 8 or a 9.
Right, because it costs them a ton of money.
Right. So over on Twitter, Eric, those back pages.
Yes.
Anytime somebody tweets out that 9s are junk, he will reply to them, "What's wrong with mint?" And I think it's a fantastic question. Every time he does it, I say, yes. What is wrong with mint?
That's what I'm saying. There's nothing higher than mint, Mike. Really. Right. Yeah. It's just a made up thing.
Yeah. So this week, as you mentioned there, somebody on Blowout forums, I think, posted that he had a 105 card order. 99 came back as nines or lower. Six were tens, so about 6% roughly were tens. And he complained to PSA, and PSA then went back in and upgraded 52 of the 99 nines or lowers, which is more than 50% of his nines or lowers. They upgraded them. They did not downgrade a single one of them. And to me, that feels like the biggest scandal of all, that they are listening on social media. They're willing to change it for certain people. This guy was a like a registry, high end registry user, I guess. And so, if you have a social media following, if you're a registry user with some influence, you can get them to go in and upgrade your cards. They won't downgrade any of them. And it feels like the bigger scandal here.
Yeah, if that is true, if they're doing that intentionally and they're doing it for special people, that is a major, major problem. But listen, they get a pass for everything. That's why it's a cult. You know, it's a cult following. They get a pass for everything. You blindly follow. It's just like when the PWCC scandal, and they had somebody in there who was knowingly, grading trimmed cards. Nobody cared. PWCC got beat up, but what happened to PSA? Nothing. Nothing. It's a cult. PSA is like a strip club. You know you're getting scammed, but you pay the money anyway. You go and you enjoy. You know that stripper isn't into you, but she's pretending like she is. And you know you're just overpaying and you're going to have your money taken, but you don't care. You go in there with a smile on your face and say, "Here you go, PSA. Here you go, stripper."
That's going to be the title of this video. PSA is like a stripper.
Yeah. These upcharges, let's talk about this, because they used to just say it's our insurance. We guarantee the grade, right, so we have to pay for our insurance.
Yep. Now
they just come out and say, well, it's our insurance and we should get a piece of the action. If you can grade this card and it gets a 10, it's now worth this much more, and we should get a piece of that. Well, what about us collectors? We get screwed. We get punished because we have a card that we don't intend to sell, that they want a piece of, and it just happens to be a really nice card. So we get a high grade. We have to pay more, and we're not selling it, but they get extra money. Now, here's the thing. Businesses have blanket insurance policies. You mean to tell me that they are buying individual insurance policies for all 1.5 million cards they grade every month? And that's why they have to up it if it's a higher grade? It should be a blanket policy. Now, I've heard somebody say, well, they self-insure. They don't have insurance. Well, if that's the case, then you're just taking a risk. It's like guaranteeing your service. You come in, you do service on my house, you have a guarantee. Your people screw it up. Well, that's on you. Why am I paying for that? Why am I paying for that? You're the experts.
Yeah.
And if you were grading fake cards and you're making all of us pay, for your guarantee, again, it's a cult and a bit of a scam. I don't know how you could look at it any other way. When nines go to tens at that rate, it's just unbelievable.
And there's some sort of weird loophole with this insurance guarantee as well, too, where, like, if I remember correctly, the person who submits it is not protected by the guarantee. So if I submit a card to them and it comes back a 10, and then for some reason it's discovered that it's not really a 10, I can't go back to them. I need to sell it to be protected by the guarantee. Or there's some weird loophole that's it's just very strange. Are you familiar with that at all?
I'm really not. I don't really follow it too much. I do find it funny when a big influencer go, "I'm so happy to pay the $4,000 upcharge because I'm making more money."
Jeff Wilson.
Again, we're right back to the cult strip club. Yeah. I'm happy to get scammed over because I'm going to make more money. But what about the collectors who aren't selling? What? They're not going to be happy with upcharges.
Yeah. So
the whole hobby's just turned into one big flip, Mike. So I call it the hot potato era.
Yeah, you talk about that, and that was a Jeff Wilson thing that became big. Maybe 2 months ago or so, he had like $100,000 Steph Curry card, and he paid $4,000, $5,000 upcharge to PSA to grade the card. And it brings up a question. If he holds on to that card and ends up going down in value, let's say it goes down to $10,000 in value, can he go back to them and say,
Yep.
I want my upcharge back, because they're not guaranteeing the upside of that card?
I was just going to bring that up. You know, you go out and you grade, just in a hypothetical, you grade a Wonder Franco card. They give you an upcharge.
Mm-hmm.
You pay it before they even send it back. He's dating a 14-year-old girl and gets canceled, and his cards go to zero. Do they refund you?
No.
No. No. Upcharges are great. What, you know, if they take 7 months to grade a card, by the time you send it in, I don't know, maybe you get that upcharge, maybe something happens, that card goes down in value. They don't say, okay, you're going to pay us less now. Have you ever seen that happen? It's a one-way street.
So let's go back for a second to the 105 card order, because I was thinking about this. If you send in, you get 99 out of 105 come back as 9s or lower, and you ask them, hey, can you re-review these cards? And they re-review them. All 99 or 52 of the 99 come back higher. What if some of them come back higher and some of them come back lower? That feels a little bit more fair, right?
Yeah, but why are they changing that many to begin with?
Yes.
It shows you that they are just, what are they guessing?
Yeah.
Is it just on a whim? What are we paying for? What are you paying for?
It's wildly inconsistent and not reliable in any shape or form.
No. And the minimum size requirements, this is another problem, but that might be a different topic for another time. But
I always enjoy Paparazzi doing the talking ball cards when he does his PSA reveals, and min size required at PSA, sends it off to SGC, and it gets graded.
Yeah. Doesn't that make grading a scam?
It certainly makes it something.
How about that 1936 worldwide Joe DiMaggio? Worldwide Gum Joe DiMaggio. Man, just a great card. So it goes to auction. It's in a SGC authentic, minimum size not met. Somebody buys it at auction for about I think somewhere between 18 and 23,000. Can't remember the exact number. As soon as they get it, they send it off to PSA. PSA gives it a 6 or 6.5. Sells for $130,000, like within a month. Same exact card in two different holders. People are only paying for the number on it. Doesn't that make grading a scam?
Absolutely.
Same exact card.
I've always avoided the term scam with grading, but there's something scammy about it. I don't think scam is quite the right word, but there's, I will still,
I don't mean it's an illegal scam. It's just
right.
It's just a passionate word
it's a racket
to describe something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when was the last time you graded a card? I know you used to a little bit.
I went out. It's been years, Mike. I was out in LA having some dim sum, and I went outside, and they had one of those local newspapers, and I grabbed it, and I just wanted to see, like, if they were in my industry, like, if they were hiring for my industry, just to see what kind of projects were going on there. And I'm looking through the pages, and I see PSA for a grader, an ad, and I'm like, oh man, maybe I'll move out to LA and become a grader, joking around. It said $13 an hour, no experience necessary. And that was the last time I sent them a card. Like, I'm sending my rare vintage cards in for people who don't have to have experience knowing cards. Like, I'm an idiot. I'm a complete moron for paying these people. Who am I paying? They should be paying me.
Yeah, it's I like to get my autographs authenticated. I do like to have, when I'm buying a vintage card, I do like to have it already graded, because I want it to be authentic. But I prefer the lowest of low grades, because why would I pay them extra? Why would I pay extra for a card that is a 6 or a 7 when I can get a 1.5 or a 2 that looks just as good, if not better, for a small fraction of the price of the 6 or 7?
Yeah, the authentic thing, sometimes, it's overblown. There's like 99.9% of cards that have never even been faked. The big ones, Michael Jordan rookie, Gretzky rookie, 49 Leaf Jackie, those kinds of cards you have to be very careful with. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And it's probably worth paying for the opinion for those. But I'll tell you, I saw CGC had graded a 1955 Johnson Cookies, Hank Aaron, and it was a complete fake reprint. It was bright white. It had sharp edges, which anybody that knows those cards knows those are cutouts. They came in a big long strip, and you you rip them off. The edges were sharp. It was white, and it wasn't even the right size because those are oversized cards. This wasn't even the right size. They slabbed it. PSA, and this was on a Probstein auction a few months back. They had slabbed it was a Lake to Lake Hank Aaron. On the back, it said 1988 reprint. Like it said that. And PSA had it listed as an original. Now, Probstein, to their credit, they put it up there and they listed in the description that it was a reprint that PSA mislabeled, but it still sold for a lot of money. I don't think people read the description. To me, that's, just selling it like that's even a little underhanded. Like you got to be very blatant to let people know. There are a lot of new people coming in and new flippers who are, if they think they're getting something for a value, they're buying it. And I know it's always buyer beware, that kind of thing. You could say that, but sellers, I think, have some responsibility to say, hey, look, this is not the real thing. PSA screwed up the label.
Yeah, look at the one that's gotten a lot of attention recently is the Topps Shohei Ohtani through the years autograph, where they're just reprinting. It's kind of like the 1987 Topps through the years, but the problem is they have an autograph on it, and it even says this autograph is obtained by Topps and it's authentic, even though it's a reprint of a card. And PSA is slabbing it as through the years, but it's still PSA for some reason. Topps is making it look like a real autograph, even though they're reprinting their own autograph, and then PSA doesn't make it any better. The fact that people are even grading this 12-cent card through PSA, it looks bad.
Yeah,
and that's not a PSA fault, but I feel like PSA, and this is probably my craziest opinion here today, should say no to some cards. They should just say, we're not going to grade this. You shouldn't pay us to grade this. Of course, they're not going to, because it's more money for them.
Yeah, and like I said, because they're a cult, there are people that if it's not in a PSA slab, they won't want it at all.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody wants, if you're collecting slabs and you have all these slabs, like you're doing a player run and you have some obscure card like a Bond Bread or something, and then PSA is like, well, I'm not going to grade that. So you have all these slabs and then one raw card. And collectors don't like that. They want them all. They want uniformity. I'm not like that. But a lot are. And they get frustrated when they won't grade something and they won't collect anything they won't slab. Like there are certain oversized things and certain, I don't know, not things that aren't cards, but more memorabilia type things or whatever. It's just the way it is.
If you mail me your raw cards, send me $10 for each card. I will put it in a one touch and mail it back to you.
Well, I say it all the time. The paradox is, the more that we get, knowledgeable about all these different cards and card issues and everything, the less we know about cards, because all of the cards that people are getting are in plastic. No one's ever touching one or feeling one or smelling one, and now nobody can tell the difference. Newer collectors, they have no idea what these cards are, what they feel like, smell like. So you're really doing yourself a disservice, because you might be at an antique mall and stumble on something and you have no idea if it's real or not because you never touched one. Everything's encapsulated in plastic, and you might be missing out on something good because you're fearful.
A couple years ago,
that's the other thing. PSA, they're like, they're marketing. Well, they're marketing now. They've just come out and said grade with us because you'll make more money. But really, when it comes to grading, it's kind of like home security. They capitalize on your fears that you're gonna, everything's fake, everything's trimmed, everything's this, everything's that. And you'll see people that say, I just want to know that it's authentic. I don't even care if it's been altered. But they won't buy a raw card. And then they'll pay more for a slab with an A on it, which makes no sense to me.
I know you're a big Jeff Wilson fan, right?
I don't talk about anybody else in the hobby.
Okay. So Jeff Wilson said recently, the PSA or collectors has conflicts of interest. And he acknowledged this. And then he said, doesn't every company have conflicts of interest? And it's kind of that whataboutism that he's defending PSA by saying, well, other companies do this too.
Yeah, and it's like stealing somebody's cards and they say, well, other people stole their cards.
Right, exactly.
It's okay, I did it.
Yeah, and one of the big conflicts of interest, and a lot of people misunderstand this a little bit, and I did for a long time, is the PSA buyback, the offers program, where they're brokering sales. Once they've graded your cards in their app, you'll get an offer to buy your card. One of their partners will buy it from you at like 70 to 90% of the value. And a lot of people say, well, PSA shouldn't be buying the cards. PSA is not buying the cards. They're brokering the sale. But the problem is that they have a collectors, PSA's parent company, has a partnership with Power Packs, PSA Power Packs, which is GameStop. Nat Turner is I believe, an investor in GameStop. And they are then turning around and selling these cards to GameStop for these PSA Power Packs, which collectors benefits from and Nat Turner benefits from. This feels like a conflict of interest. What do you think about that?
Well, I've been saying from day one that this is all a conflict of interest. I mean, when you are the authenticator and you have anything to do with buying stuff back, regrading it, selling it, that's a conflict of interest. Period.
Yeah.
There's no way around that. That's a conflict of interest. That's like you hire an appraiser for your home that you're selling, and the person appraising it is the one buying it or the one selling it.
or it comes back and
that's
says,
not going to affect the price, the value he puts on there.
Yeah. So the appraiser comes back and says, this fails inspection. You need $45,000 worth of work done. I'll buy the house from you.
Yeah, right.
I'll take it.
Or it's like a dealer. Like you go into a dealer. Oh, these $300,000 worth of. They got this problem. I got to grade them. Blah blah blah. I'll give you 35,000.
Yeah.
That's actually happened.
Yeah.
And so you should have nothing to do. If you're the authenticator, you should have nothing to do with buying, selling, any of that. It's just period. But when you're a cult, you can do whatever you want. Nobody cares. They're going to take the juice and on the Jones Island. It doesn't matter. As long as people are willing to pay up for tens, this is what's going to happen. Nothing's going to change. And this is the world we live in. So everybody just needs to stop complaining about it and bow down. Bow down.
How many
Let's
tens?
all pray. Let's form the Church of PSA. Let's all pray with me.
How many tens do you have in your collection, John?
I got a bunch.
You've had them for a long time, right?
Yeah. I won't pay up for tens anymore. Well, I bought one recently, but it was just a good deal. Puka Nakua when he first came out, because I'm a big fan of his.
Yeah.
Let me see if I bought any other recently. I try to buy raw cards now. When people started opening packs of Chrome or brand new cards, and I understand there are issues with Chrome. I see them all the time when I open them. But just saying, the brand new cards coming out of there that are just perfect, just perfect. And believe me, you can't tell the difference between a 9 and a 10. I see people on YouTube all the time sending in and being shocked because, it got an 8 or an 8.5 or a 9, and they're shocked because they can't tell the difference. And neither can PSA, because PSA will change that grade. They will change that grade, as we've talked about. So I always found it funny pulling brand new cards out of packs and sending them off for grading, especially the non-chromy ones that are just right out of the pack. Because, when grading came out, it was to authenticate old cards and to judge old cards because they've been handled, and faked and stuff, so forth. So altered, but it's gone to the point now where why don't they just put the PSA graded 10s in the packs? Why don't you just do that?
I
But they
I
won't do that
don't.
because they make so much money with people cracking these and sending them tens of thousands of dollars to grade all their brand new cards out of a pack
Well, now you
because
have
people
those.
are willing to pay for them.
Now you have all these repacks. So like the PSA power packs, where they'll buy one card that's $3,000, and then hundreds of cards that are worth like 40, and then they'll put them all one card in each power pack, and tell you
Mhm.
you could get this $3,000 card, and you spend $300. I'm just making up these numbers. These aren't, I assume,
Right.
not the real numbers for PSA power packs, but pay $300 to open a pack that has one card in it, because there's a chance you get a $3,000 card, but in all likelihood you're only going to get a $40 card.
Right.
And they're all graded. That one card is like a PSA 10, or maybe it's a PSA 7 1933 Gaudy something or other. But for the most part, they're ultra modern. That chase card is a Shohei or an Aaron Judge or a some sort of a prospect. That's crazy to me. That it's straight up gambling.
It's straight up gambling. It's no different than going to the convenience store and buying a scratch off. But when all these guys got together and said, we're going to 10 times the hobby, well, how do you 10 times the hobby that fast? You turn it into a gambling operation.
Yeah.
People love gambling. You could put a casino in any town and it'll be packed and make money.
Yep.
And that's what our industry is right now, for better or for worse. That's what drives the hobby today, is the gambling aspect. And the only thing that will change that is if people stop paying these ridiculous prices for these, tens or pools, one
Yeah.
of ones or whatever. I mean, there must be what, a million one of ones out there.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, every every rookie has 2,000 one of ones.
Yep.
To me, that diminishes the one of ones if
Absolutely.
there's that many. But still, that card is a one of one, and I could see if you're excited to have a card that nobody else has. And so it's this created scarcity and gambling aspect. And then you have these investors who will just blindly buy cards for $6 million or whatever as an investment. And these are billionaires. Like, this is like, man, this is like, money you and I would have in the console of our car comparatively to what they have, right? So they don't care. They don't care. Then it hits the headlines, and the next time maybe it'll sell for more. And when this all started, I mean, that's what like Vegas Dave, when he came out and he said, "I'm going to pay 400,000 for this Mike Trout, and I'm going to sell it for $1 million," and he did. And then he did a video after this because this started catching on, and he did a video and said exactly what I said was going on. He said, "What happens is you get your friends together, you sell to your friends, it goes for 500. Next, now you send it to auction again, it goes for more because it hits the headlines."
Hot
And
potato.
yeah, and he come out and said that after I had done a video saying this is what I suspect is going on, because these prices just became outrageous. And these big auctions, I'm just convinced it's like flippers or investors selling to each other. Yeah, it's not your average collector paying $6
Sure.
million for these cards.
Yeah. So back to the gambling thing. 2 years ago, I was taking my family to the Grand Canyon, and we flew into Las Vegas because my youngest child, who at the time was 13, or I guess just turned 14, and we wanted to just spend a day at this theme, like an amusement park near Las Vegas. And so we flew into Las Vegas, and I had this idea because my kids love the idea of doing the slot machines, and I thought it would be awesome if I could drop a 20 into a slot machine and lose all of it very quickly, just to show them. And I did. I put 20. I said, "Watch this." Put $20 in, and it was gone like 3 minutes later. And I said, "See," and they were like, "Wow, what a scam! This is terrible." And neither of them wanted to gamble anymore. And I was thankful that we didn't win a bunch of money, because they would have wanted to do it more and more and more and more. Um, yeah. So, John, what can go ahead? You were going to say something?
I just wanted to say, like, it's not my place to tell people what to do. It's not my place to police the hobby. But the gambling aspect, I do feel bad for people who do get in it and rack up credit card debt, go bankrupt, lose all their money, get scammed in this hobby. I feel bad they're chased out of it. I feel bad for people that are new coming in, and what do they see? The new people coming into our hobby. I used to be proud to be a collector. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed for our hobby. I'm embarrassed to tell people I'm in this hobby because I say all the time, I love the hobby, but I absolutely hate the industry.
Yes.
The longer we go on, everybody at the top of this industry just turns out to be some sort of bad actor, whatever you want to call it. Not the most upstanding people you want running running an industry, in my opinion. And I think like we're one of the few industries, if we're going to look at it as an industry, that doesn't have an association, right? You have the Dairy Association, got milk. You have the Bar Association for lawyers. You have the Dental Association for dentists. You have the Realty Association for realtors. You have these associations whose job is to promote the industry, protect consumers, you know, make it make it safe, and two, call out the bad actors. We don't have that. And that is what we need to improve it. We need a card association, a hobby association, a place people can go and learn about what to be careful with. Who are the good, who are the good dealers, what to be careful with in the industry.
How do you start that?
Somebody needs to start it.
Well, Ziggy, you're familiar with Ziggy, no? He tried starting, according to him, a breaker association that would pull all the breakers together and make sure that they were, I believe, if I understand correctly, doing things in a non-shady way.
Mhm.
And none of the big breakers were interested in joining, which I think is pretty telling.
Yeah, of course.
You want us to actually be regulated and volunteer to not do shady things? Nah, we're out.
Yeah, it's the Wild West. I mean, back in the Wild West with gunfights and everything, excuse me, you think they would be warm and fuzzy to have somebody come in and monitor which guns they were carrying and if they could shoot somebody? Like, no, nobody wants to be self-monitored. It's
Yeah,
very telling if they don't want to participate in that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, John, the two PSA things of the past couple weeks, are
Hmm.
these going to get swept under the rug? As we've
Yes.
seen, yeah, immediately already. I agree. But we've seen several LCSs come out and say, I'm not grading with PSA anymore. There's been a groundswell of people saying, I'm not grading with it. I've received hundreds, if not thousands, of comments saying, I'm not grading with PSA anymore.
Yes.
But it's going to go away, right? I mean, the
Well, that's
PSA will be fine.
refreshing to me. That's
Right.
refreshing to me because, I vote with my dollars.
Yeah, me too.
And if we all did that, imagine for one moment if we just had enough and every collector around just said, you know what? I'm not submitting for grading. I'm not buying a card for 3 months. I'm not buying a box. I'm not buying a pack. I'm buying nothing for 3 months. If everybody did that, people would wake up. I mean, that'll never happen. But it is refreshing to see somebody standing up to them. The problem is, or not the problem, but the thing is that I don't think they're big enough players to. It's like pissing in the ocean to warm it up. They're not big enough to make a dent.
Yeah. I also agree. If there is a small dent, it will be brief. I
Yeah,
just think that the hobby has very short memory, very short attention span. And once people start seeing these tens come back and they're selling at 2x what other companies' cards are selling at, they're just going to be like, oh, I'm going to submit to PSA, or PSA will do a special and people will go back to PSA.
yeah. Now, if these people stay not submitting, if they keep it up and more people add to it over time, they could make a dent. There's no doubt. But I think we all know that AI grading is coming. I think with the way they're hurting their reputation, PSA, that the door is open for other grading companies. Collectors are absolutely, and I'm not one of them, absolutely thirsty for a grading company that they can get a decent turnaround time, accurate grades, takes care of them, listens to them, good customer service with a nice looking slab. They're just thirsty for that, and they try out these new grading companies. But for me, I'm like, okay, it's great. You think their slabs look good. You want a grading company that's not PSA. But are they qualified? Are you just blindly sending to these guys? You don't know. Are they grading better than PSA? Probably not. Are they grading more consistently than PSA? Probably not. But you have a warm and fuzzy because you like the look of the slab and you get it back faster. AI is going to change all this. I have long been a proponent that I would not, I no longer grade any cards, and I won't grade until right before I want to sell, because you don't know at the time you want to sell your cards who the hottest grading company is.
Yep.
We have seen the old PSA slabs are now considered junk and won't sell for as much, and you see the change in how PSA grades now, tougher. And in some cases, like the 1980 Ricky Henderson, we all suspect quality control and or pop control it. So in my opinion, to get the best bang for your buck, you should only grade right before you're going to sell, and grade with the hottest company that's going to get you the largest amount of money, right? And if a firm comes out with some sort of AI grading that takes the human element out of it, can have an exact image of every card graded, so that they will always know if it's resubmitted or whatever's going on with that, then that's going to change. That's going to change the world.
Yeah,
It's going to change the world of the hobby.
the problem is that AI is going to be trained by humans on cards that were graded by humans. And that creates some significant challenges with what we want, which is more consistent grading. We had that with SGC for years.
It could,
right?
or it may not.
Yeah. Well, John,
I can tell you this: if AI is grading a card and it has, it's off center, it's an off center Wemby 1 of 1. They ain't giving it a 10. Only a human would do that, because it's silly.
Yeah. Any final thoughts before we wrap up here?
No, man. I had a few cups of coffee and got wound up. Thanks for giving me an outlet.
My pleasure. This was great. I really appreciate you coming on. If anybody's somehow not familiar with John, the Mangini Collection here on YouTube, check him out. One of the best YouTube channels for collectors out there.
Thank you,
John. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. And thanks everybody for watching.
Thanks for having me.